Hello and welcome to the Whiskey Closet. My name is Kevin, and tonight I want to talk about these three bottles that I just bought at Ohio's Single Barrel Saturday. It is 2023, and December 9th was Single Barrel Saturday here in Ohio. This is the second year that they've done this. It's a rather interesting event. They get a bunch of different single barrel products and they release them all on the same morning. This year, there were more than 150 unique barrels, like individual barrels that they released throughout the state. They did this at over 200 locations. They only reveal the locations the morning of, so you don't know in advance. You have to wake up and check the internet and find out where the bottles are. I counted, and there were just shy of 60 individual products. It's a cute idea. A lot of people, I think, did line up. We got there super early and lined up, and there were a handful of things that definitely flippers were out there trying to find. I decided that I was going to avoid all of that. I went late, and these were some of the things that I had on my wish list, and they were still easily available even later in the morning. All right, let's taste through them. I'm going to start with the Frey Ranch. This cork is so heavy. I should have brought my scale downstairs so I could measure it. It is crazy, crazy heavy. This thing is definitely made out of metal. That is really cool. And it has Frey Ranch's logo is really cool. This is Frey Ranch Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It's a private barrel select OHLQ exclusive for 2023. This is a 4 slow grown grain whiskey. It comes in at a very respectable 119.92 proof. And if you're from Ohio and you got the emails and you want to know, this one is barrel 2013. Frey Ranch was on my wish list because they are new to me. And as you know, if you watch the channel, I'm mostly into this hobby for acquiring new things and exploring new flavors and exploring new processes and really learning a lot about what is out there in the world of bourbon and whiskey. So Frey Ranch sure does fit into that. Frey Ranch is from Nevada. Their tagline is ground to glass. And it makes a lot of sense because they are an estate distillery. They grow all of the grain that's in this. They malt it and mash it on site themselves. They do all the distillation themselves, and they do all the aging themselves on site at their ranch. The 4 grains in this are a soft white winter wheat, a winter rye, a 2-row barley, and of course, corn. Let's dive in. So it smells very crafty. Immediately, first impression, it's got this kind of very corn forward, kind of hay, sort of very sweet note. But there's a lot of baking spice mixed in with that. And there's something else. There's a lot of baking spice. You gotta wait. The initial hit on the nose is this like funky sweetness, and then baking spice. I think there's some vanilla, like a vanilla extract kind of thing, and very much like vanilla extract. Like, you know how vanilla extract has that like almost pungent, strong note. And there's something a little bit fruity in here. It definitely has some caramel notes. I could see this maybe being like a super fresh green apple note, possibly. I don't know, I'm searching for that. It really is more of that kind of grassy hay, but within that note, there's something else that's different, that's interesting, and maybe it's kind of an apple. Weird. I could almost go like a cherry, but not like a bright, super fresh cherry. Maybe like a dried cherry or something. Ooh, okay, I'm liking that. Ooh, the more I think that kind of dried cherry thing, then that sweet funkiness isn't presenting as being so funky to me anymore. Now it's coming across in this kind of cherry way. Still a little funky, no question. It smells very interesting. All right, let's taste it. Woo! Boy, that's got some proof. All right, so far the most noticeable thing about this is that the finish is crazy. It is one of the most lingering finishes I may have ever experienced. It is such a like toasty oak finish, and then all that sweetness is still there. But man, it's just like hanging in forever. There is so much of an oak spice right in the mid palate of that. And yeah, that finish is not messing around. The front is like a very sweet, maybe like marshmallowy sort of thing. If anything, this is kind of reminding me of like the Willet pot still. I'll have to do that heads up someday because I kind of think I would like, I think I would like this better than the Willet though. Marshmallow is not the right note. It's just like sweet corn. I think that's a good bourbon. I think it's interesting. It is not going to be my favorite by any means. I think it's just a little too crafty, a little too funky. But that's good. Okay, we're staying in the craft distillery territory, but now we're moving to Indiana, and we're going to talk about Starlight Distillery, also called Carl T. Huber. Starlight is the name of the community, technically, apparently. It's not a town in Indiana where they are located. And Carl T. Huber is the sort of founder. This distillery started as a fruit farm way back, apparently the largest fruit farm in Indiana at one point. Then they began making brandy and wine using their fruit, and eventually they started making whiskey. They are very well known for their interesting finishes, and that's what this one is. This is a bourbon whiskey finished in Madeira wine barrels. It is 116 proof, and it says it was aged for 4 years. Madeira is a sweet dessert wine, kind of like port, different, but similar. And I have never seen a Madeira finished wine before, so I was really excited to try this one out. Oh my gosh, this couldn't be any more different than the last one. Wow, what in the world? The light's turned off, battery's dead. Okay, my first impression is that it is almost like vinegary. It is like real different. But there's also like a jam quality behind whatever is making me get vinegar. And I'm getting a slightly craft young kind of corn, but it's like not as prominent as in the Frey because you're also getting that jammy quality. And whatever that vinegary thing was is backing off now. I'm not noticing it as much. I think just I'm getting used to it. I think the contrast from this to the Frey is just crazy. Oh yeah, all that vinegary stuff is gone now, and now it is just like crazy fruit forward. Wow, that smells good. Wow. All right, let's taste it. Ooh. That's got some proof in it too. Dang. Long finish too. That's not really what I was expecting. Proof at 116, very respectable. Whoa, still developing, Wow, the oak note finishes on this are really good. Getting a toasted oak note on the nose now after having sipped it. It's a little salty almost in the finish. Whoa, what an interesting thing. It really is. It's kind of like got a salty saline sort of vibe at the end. Woo. Talk about mouthwatering. And you definitely get the wine impact at the front, for sure. Okay, Madeira finished Starlight. That is very interesting. Kind of getting a little like salty seashore on the nose now too. Almost reminiscent of like a scotch. That is super unique. Whoa, fascinating. I'm not doing this one justice. Very hard to describe. All right, last one, Nashville Barrel Company. This here is a single barrel straight bourbon whiskey. It's cask strength. This is 122.48 proof. It's barrel number 2768. And what makes this very interesting is this is an 8-year-old Nashville Barrel Company product. One of the best bourbons that I have ever had is this Nashville Barrel Company barrel pick. I believe I've talked about it before on the channel. This one is from the Rochester Elite Barrel Pickers Club, and they called it the Jackson 6 because the dude who does the barrel picks has himself photoshopped in here with the Jackson 5. This is a 5-year-old 120 proof Nashville barrel pick, and it's just crazy unique. The flavors in this are like this apricot thing. It's just the sweet aspects in this are so good, and the lovely like charred oak impacts. This is just a very special, unique kind of bourbon. So given my experience with that, I was very interested to try a Nashville 8-year bourbon. My understanding is the Nashville Barrel Company is basically a company founded around some guys who are really good at doing barrel picks. They go to various distilleries. I'm not sure it's disclosed. I couldn't find out in some quick Googling. They go to various distilleries and they pick barrels, and then they take those barrels and they age them for a little while longer in Nashville. And they seem to come out great. They talk about on their website the fact that their stuff at like 5 years, they think they can put up against things at 8 and 10 years from other distilleries. And that does seem to be true. So 8 years from them could be pretty interesting. The only downside here is this bottle was $130. Now's a good time to talk about single barrels. I'm really into single barrels now. When I first got into this hobby, I was a little nervous about them. You never know what you're going to get. You can't assume that just because you had one before that you'll like the next one. My favorite example of that is through New Riff. I haven't had a bad New Riff single barrel, but I've had one in particular that was amazing. And so then the other 2 or 3 that I've had since have been sort of a letdown. I only owned 2, I think, but I've tasted a couple others. And that one was just so special. But you know what? That is kind of the fun of it, too. But it's also a little risky, especially when the prices get up there. But let's take the risk. Whoa, this has got some super strong honey on the nose. Whoa. Definitely got classic rye notes on the nose. There's some charred oak, but it's kind of in the background. That honey note is the thing that's jumping. Wow, that smells great. Oh, I really like the barrel char notes that I'm getting on the nose of this. All right, let's give it a try. Wow. Holy smokes. That 122 proof is hitting. Whoa. Oh, there is a lot of barrel on the finish too. Oh, and so much rye. Ooh, wow, herbal rye. Whoa. Wow, that... What a sip that was. Okay, you know that I like a journey in my bourbons, and this one is a journey. Jury out on whether or not I loved the journey, but man, that was a journey. Let me see if I can't talk you through it. Whoa, the nose is like crazy rye now. Amazing how that always happens. You get it onto your palate and then the nose changes, always. Still getting the honey though. It opens sweet, and I'm gonna say that sweetness is like a sweet barrel char sweetness. Really, really nice. Very dark, you know, reminiscent of, you know, dark kind of vanilla notes. I think I'm gonna stay in kind of a vanilla territory. Maybe not so much like caramel notes, but man, yeah. And then you get the proof, and the proof comes on fast. And with that proof comes a ton of spice from the barrel. And the finish kicks in, and it's just that barrel spice writing, and then suddenly out of nowhere, this herbal rye spice note just starts to bloom and goes forever. It overtakes the barrel spice. So this one was really a risk. They had tasting notes on Ohio's website for this event, which was really cool. The tasting notes for this are so generic. The nose they describe as bright, airy, and floral. And the palate, one word, strong. What? $130. Here's what we're going to tell you. It's strong. No, they weren't wrong. It's strong. Wow. What it is strong, spicy rye, but also that herbal rye. Dang. I think that honestly is a little too down that herbal rye avenue for my personal preferences. But that's still incredibly good. Okay, this has been another episode of the Whiskey Closet, special one for Single Barrel Saturday. Hey, are you from Ohio? Did you go out on Single Barrel Saturday? Did you buy some bottles? What'd you get? Did you like what you got? I hope you opened it. I hope you didn't sell it on the secondary market. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.